So, when it comes to Sam Ehlinger, a lot of people really haven't been talking about him for a while. Sam Ehlinger, if you don't know who he is, he's currently listed as the second string quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts behind Jacob Eason, who was a former 4th round pick last year. And obviously Carson Wentz right now is hurt. So, because that's the case, that leaves a spot open for either Jacob Eason or Sam Ehlinger to potentially take the reins as the next Colts franchise quarterback, okay? Now, Sam Ehlinger played 4 years at Texas, so he's got a lot of experience, and he was a 6th round pick this past year in the draft, and he was actually, ironically, the last quarterback taken in that draft. The quarterbacks taken ahead of him were Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills, and Ian Brooks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 quarterbacks taken ahead of him. He was the 10th quarterback drafted in his draft class. And everyone has kind of written Sam Ehlinger off. And I kind of have as well because, when I rate quarterbacks coming into the NFL, in the draft, I only rank the top 5 guys. I don't spend my time looking at, 10 to 12, 15 quarterbacks because the reality is you'd be lucky to have 4 guys hit as franchise quarterbacks in a draft. You'd be super lucky. Sometimes only 1 to 2 quarterbacks hit in a draft. Okay, so I don't want to spend all my time looking at these quarterbacks because the reality is not everyone's going to make it. But a lot of people also wrote off Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott in college. Guys that were pretty good in college that were, for whatever reason, looked over and passed upon for really odd reasons. Russell Wilson because of his height, Tom Brady because he's not the greatest athlete in the world, and Dak Prescott because he had a limited skill set coming into the NFL, But those guys worked their tails off and eventually became really good franchise quarterbacks. Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady's won a Super Bowl. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. Has won 7 championships. Dak Prescott's really good. So I don't have high expectations for Sam Ehlinger, but maybe Sam Ehlinger surprises me. Maybe he surprises a lot of people because here's the thing. The good things about Sam Ehlinger coming out of Texas was he was a really good decision maker. He rarely turned the football over. That was mainly because of his good decision making. He does have a fairly strong arm. It's a good NFL arm. Not a great arm, but it's a good arm. He can make most of the throws. But where Sam Ehlinger really struggles is with ball placement and accuracy down the field. And because Sam Ehlinger isn't this incredibly super athletic and gifted quarterback, like a Cam Newton, like a Deshaun Watson, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Aaron Rodgers, his margin for error can't be that high. He has to be really good with his ball placement and accuracy. And at times, I just saw that being way too inconsistent at Texas. He also relied on his legs way too much at Texas. Like, I understand if you're a guy like Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson, you're going to run the football. But those guys, what makes them special is they have the ability to beat you within the pocket. Kyler Murray has one of the best arms in the entire NFL. Lamar Jackson, the year he won the league MVP, he led the NFL in touchdown passes. He's a pretty good pocket passer. Sam Ehlinger, he still needs to develop as a pure pocket passer. And I think Sam Ehlinger is very scheme dependent. I don't trust him to make enough throws to potentially be a long-term franchise quarterback. See, you can probably win games in a short spurt with Sam Ehlinger. Like, for example, Tim Tebow won games in the NFL. The problem is what Tim Tebow was doing did not last in the NFL. Same thing with Taysom Hill. The Saints are winning games with him, but he's not going to last for 10 years. I highly doubt that. Okay? Now, where Sam Ehlinger can overcome the odds is with his leadership and incredible work ethic. Okay? Because the things you hear about Sam Ehlinger is he's a great teammate, a captain, a great leader, and he has an unbelievable work ethic. And the jumps that he made in college were pretty significant. From his freshman year to his final season at Texas, he's a much better quarterback. So you see this guy is willing to put in the work. The only question is, Is he talented enough? And does he have ice water in his veins? Does he have that special, it factor and leadership to overcome some things, I will also say that Sam Ehlinger played 4 full seasons of college football. That's huge because we saw Justin Herbert play 4 full years at Oregon and absolutely light the NFL on fire because he got that experience. There's something to be said for having 4 years of college experience as a quarterback. Experience is everything. We saw a guy like Dwayne Haskins, who was super talented coming out of Ohio State, kind of fall in his face in Washington because, he only had about 13 to 14 college starts. He was just raw. He was a puppy. He wasn't ready to, dissect NFL defenses or take over a franchise. Wasn't mature enough. With Sam Ehlinger, and again, we'll see what Dwayne Haskins does in Pittsburgh. I think he can turn his career around. But when it comes to Sam Ehlinger, I think he has a chance to surprise some people. Okay? If he puts in the work. Okay? I'm not going to bet on him. I'm not going to say he's the next franchise quarterback because I have my questions. I didn't really think he was worth a high draft pick coming out of college, but he has 4 years of college experience. Jacob Eason only had 1 great year in college. That matters. And we saw Jacob Eason lose his starting job at Georgia because of his lack of work ethic. It wasn't because of his lack of arm strength or lack of talent, because if you just look at Jacob Eason compared to Sam Ehlinger, I think Jacob Eason is the much more talented quarterback, and it's not even close. But if Sam Ehlinger can do the little things, maybe he passes a guy like Carson Wentz or Jacob Eason on the Colts depth chart. We'll see what happens. He does have good players around him. I am interested to see what Sam Ehlinger potentially brings to the table in the preseason and potentially for the future of the Colts if he gets a shot. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.